Every pen makes its own tune. And that is why we are going to have another fountain pen shootout. Okay, and today we're going to talk about two flex pens by Noodlers. I know that one of the previous shootouts was between the Ahab and the Namiki Falcon, but I thought that today we'd compare these two. There have been some people asking me about this because they're not sure which one to buy. The Konrad was recently launched by Noodlers, it's a flex pen, and then we had the Ahab for quite a while. So let's compare the two. First of all, I like them both, and I have to say which one you pick is entirely up to you, and I think it's just a matter of taste. Because they have the same nib, they have the same feed, they will give you the same amount of flex. There's really nothing more to it. My experiences with the Ahab have been more favorable than those with the Konrad, but for a lot of people it's been the other way around, so I'll give you my opinion, but please, go figure this out for yourself, which one is the best for you. Alright, let's start with the Ahab. It's been around for quite a while. It was quite a bit bigger than the first flex pen Noodlers launched, which was the piston filler body. This flex pen, I think, has a very nice build, and it has a very nice converter, which you can just operate with this sliding piston. I have to be a little careful, there's still some ink in there. So you just suck up the ink like that. Also, you can fill up the entire barrel with ink, which holds, I think, more than 5 milliliters or something, which is a huge amount of ink. I think a standard international cartridge is just about 1 milliliter, so that's really a lot of ink. Then we have the Konrad, which is a piston filler. So you remove the blind cap, and then you screw on this knob, and ink will come. You'll draw up ink. So you cannot fill up the entire barrel. You sort of are filling up the barrel with the piston. I think you fill up about, well, a little less, about this part. So this will hold less ink than the Ahab in eyedropper mode, but I think any pen will hold less ink than the Ahab in eyedropper mode, because it's just a huge amount. Okay, so what about the size of the two pens? Well, the Ahab looks quite a bit larger, right? Wrong. Someone pointed this out to me because I thought the exact same thing, but it's actually not true. It's just the cap of the Ahab that's large, because if you check out these pens, you will see that they're pretty much the same size. It really, there's almost no difference. The difference is really in the Ahab cap being quite a bit bigger. Okay, so we have the difference in filling mechanism. Size is not really an issue. The girth may be an issue. The Ahab is a bit wider than the Konrad, so if you like, wider pens, that offer more of a grip, then I would say go for the Ahab. Okay, as to writing, as I said, they both have the same nib, same amount of smoothness, roughly. I had some problems with my Konrad nib. If you've seen my review, you know what I'm talking about. I bent it in the cap. I'll show you that later on. I had to bend it back in shape again. I have the feeling I didn't get the smoothest of Konrad nib, so I smoothed it myself with some micro mesh that worked well, and that's pretty much it. So I guess if you're buying one and you're a little careful, then your nib should be pretty smooth. Okay, so same amount of flex, same size, a little bit more ink, a little bit more girth. I think this one has slightly nicer looks. I actually like the design of the Ahab a lot, but this looks a bit more classy, which is important to some people. This comes in more models than this, I mean more decos, more colors, etc. Currently, this is May 2012, and there are just 3 different paint jobs on this one, because this one has a lot of different decos. Okay, so all I can say, pick one. Perhaps it'll help to see them in action, which is what we're going to do next. We'll have a look at both pens. I'll show you how to disassemble them, and then we'll ink them up and I'll do some writing. I apologize right now that the writing with the Konrad was a bit sloppy. It took me quite a bit of effort to find its sweet spot. I'm sorry, I wanted to get this video out now. I've been using the Ahab for a long time, and this one I've only had for a day. So bear with me. In any case, I've really tried to do both pens the justice they deserve. I think the two of them are very nice. And that's it. So I hope this was useful. I hope this can assist you in choosing between the two. And that's all there's to it. So see you later, and bye-bye. Okay, the Noodler's Ahab and the Noodler's Konrad. I have in a past video already shown you how to disassemble the Ahab, so I'll do this very quickly. If you want more instructions on how to do this, you can just check out my Namiki Falcon versus Noodler's Ahab video. But for now, I think this should suffice. So you can take that apart, and you can even take this apart. But, you know, I don't want to waste any of your time. So this was a very, very quick rundown on how to disassemble that pen. I'll leave this open because I'll ink it up in a second. Today I want to focus on the Konrad. So, how do we do this? Well, first of all, here we have a lead lenser. Take a look in the barrel. You see the threads fairly deeply down there. I have tried to align this small label, so the lower line of this label indicates the lowest level of the threads. Now, if you align this, then you will see that you really don't have that much space on top of the cap for the nib. Now that is fine, as long as you bear that in mind, you know, think about that. I'll take this off for now. Because as I explained in my Konrad review, I really bent my nib closing this for the first time. So if you cap your pen, you feel any type of resistance, just stop, because then your nib may not be aligned very well. Okay, how do we take this apart? Well, considering it's not inked up, we may start with the nib and the feed. There was apparently still some ink in there. Haven't cleaned it that well apparently. That's just fine. And then we have the barrel. So this is just friction fit. You can just pull those out. The blind cap, you can take it off. If you squeeze this knob, you will see the piston moving. With some older Noodler's pens, you could just keep sort of screwing, and then the piston would pop out. With this pen, it's a bit different. You grab these threads, so not the knob, but the actual threads, hold down the barrel, and you can just take it out. So then you will just end up with a hollow barrel. If you unscrew that, you see how the piston operates, so you can just take it out. You can clean this. There will be some ink on there probably, and you can put some silicone grease around this seal to ensure smooth operation. And this, I think, is the first time that I've seen anything by Noodler's that moves, but you can't take it out. At least I've been unable to find a way to take this out, and that's just fine, because this is sealed off of ink, so no ink passes beyond this point. So this should not be inky or dirty in any way. I suppose if you want, you could put some silicone grease in there with a toothpick, but I don't, yeah. That may be beneficial for the piston, I suppose, because then it would be in there and you could move it around a bit. Okay, today I'm not going to do that because it seems just fine. You can put this back in, just screw it around a bit, and it will work. You put it back into the barrel, screw that shut. I leave off the blind cap. This moves a little, I don't know, doesn't really seem to be a problem. I leave off the blind cap because I'm going to ink it up in a second. I put the nib and the feed back in place. Okay, doesn't go any further. I think that's good enough. It looks about good to me. Careful twist. Yeah, that's just fine. Okay, well then let's ink up the pens. I'm using my favorite flex pen ink, which is Noodler's Anti-Feather. There we go. Just clean off the section in the nib a little bit. Replace the blind cap. Cap the pen to prevent drying out. I seem to feel some friction there again, but the nib doesn't suffer. I'm sure it's fine. But because I'm paranoid, I just carefully... No, it really doesn't. It doesn't go in any further, so it should be fine. Okay, there we go. The Ahab. I love this simple converter mechanism. There we go. Doesn't fill up all the way, but this inkwell is running a little dry, I'm afraid. So, there we go. Screw the barrel back in place. Of course, you know you can also use this as an eyedropper, so fill the barrel, but for now I just use the converter. Okay, let's do some writing. It's always a challenge to get these flex pens to write, but today they seem to help me. So here we have the Ahab. Sorry. And here we have the Konrad, which immediately lays down a fatter line than the Ahab. Also, the nib on my Konrad was quite scratchy. As you can see, it doesn't really write straight away. Whereas the nib on my Ahab has absolutely no problems. I'll just push out a bit of ink. I think I've dried this one off a bit enthusiastically, so you operate the piston, put some ink down there. There we go. That ought to help. And there we go. A nice wet line. Okay, my experience seems to be that the Konrad nib is a bit wider when unflexed than the Ahab nib. Now both are Ahab nibs, so maybe it's just this specific nib on my pen. Here we have an issue where the feed actually scrapes across the paper. I'll angle the pen a little bit differently. You really have to fiddle around with the feed on this pen. I'm really not sure whether I like that. I can't get it in any further. I cannot pull the nib out any further because then I will bend the nib again. So yeah, maybe it's just my pen. I'm not sure, but I'm not a big fan of this. Okay, then we have the Ahab. Exactly, I was sure I was going to wipe ink all over me. I need more pressure to make this nib flex, which is something you may or may not like. I actually like it because with this I could just write a grocery list. It gives a fairly fine line. You see I can do this pretty quickly. The feed keeps up. Even when flexing, now we finally get some railroading. Let's try to do that with the Konrad too. Doesn't write again. I'll push out some more ink. That was a lot of ink. be completely fair, I'll just dry off the feed so that we don't have any interference from that. As well as I can. Okay, let's see how we're faring here. Again, no line. I'm really trying to do this pen justice. Okay, there we go. Railroading. I'll push out some more ink. Draw it back. We get another number of large drops. That looks pretty good, right? No skipping, no railroading. Now, let's be completely fair. I've already used this for quite a while, so this, I guess, is adapted to my hand. The Konrad is fairly new, so I need to get used to this pen. It's not the pen's fault that it's railroading, it's my fault. I'm probably not holding it in just the right angle. I haven't completely found the sweet spot of this pen, but I do have some issues. I had the same issues with an Ahab. When I got this pen, I thought I would never get it to write. And you see what I can do with it now, so don't be put off by this. Okay, I'm just going to use another page here. I want to do this again, to give you as objective a view as I can. So we'll stick with the Konrad to the right. It's already dried out. I have smoothed, I can't pronounce it, I have smoothed this nib quite a bit myself. It seems to have worked. It was scratchy when I got it, and now it's pretty smooth, under a lot of angles, so that's a good thing. It flexes. There we go with the feed again. This is really annoying. Sorry for this poor handwriting, but I have to angle it upwards, otherwise I just keep scraping against the feed. There we go. Now it's flexing without actually touching the nib, the feed to the paper. So, it wasn't the pen's fault, it was my fault. Okay, enough about that pen. Let's take a look at the Ahab again. I am going to use a new sheet of paper because otherwise I'll have ink all over my hands. Ahab. There we get some railroading. I'm doing this very quickly, so then the feed at some point cannot keep up anymore. But as you can see, it restores itself quite quickly. Now we get some more railroading, and there we go again. So that's pretty easy. Now let's see if I can replicate that with the Konrad. I do some fast, high flex writing. It stops. There we go again. Now this is a really wet spot. There was a lot of ink there, so that's not actually a problem of the pen. Okay, so it railroads quickly. I'll give it some time to adjust itself. There we go again. Immediate railroading. Now it's really wet. I pushed out some more ink. There you go, and now you get a very wet line and it just keeps going. No railroading anymore, cutting through the paper, but that's because of the wet part on the other side of the page. Okay, so this works well. Okay, so obviously I need to work a bit on the Konrad, and I need to find its weak spot. Now, what about the maximum amount of flex? This is Konrad. More than that, I cannot make of it. Here's the Ahab. Railroading. Lots of railroading. I think that's exactly the same amount of flex, to be honest. So if you're looking for maximum flex, I think both pens will give you the same. And clearly that's fairly logical because it's the same nib, right? But just to show you that it's really, it doesn't matter which pen you choose. Okay, so I'm sorry for fiddling around quite a bit. I'm sorry for, oh look, Rorschach test. You know, it's actually funny. Rorschach, you know this guy, right? He was the guy who developed this test where you interpret the ink blots. Well, in his youth, he had a nickname, which was Klecks. And Klecks is actually German for ink blot. Now, how amazingly awesome is that? Okay, so we have the Konrad, we have the Ahab. I'm sorry for fiddling around a bit. I think the two of them are great pens, and I didn't expect anything different. I like Noodlers. I like the brand. So far, I have to say, for me, the Ahab is the ultimate flex pen. I think this one looks more distinguished, but this one I personally find more pleasant to use. However, if you talk to me in a couple of months, I've had more time to fiddle around with this pen, perhaps this one will be my favorite. Who knows? So, two great flex pens. Pick one. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.